Welcome in to another episode of my Dynasty Fantasy Football YouTube. Today I'm looking at some Dynasty sells. As always, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Let's go. So, my first player, DeAndre Swift. I will not be fooled by DeAndre Swift's Monday Night Football performance. I know better. I know better with DeAndre Swift at this point. This year, 5 games, 70 carries, 295 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4.2 yards a carry, and 15 catches, 152 yards, and a touchdown. He's doing pretty well for fantasy. He's averaging 15.1 PPR points a game, 14th among running backs, mostly on the back of this week's game. Now, DeAndre Swift is not good. Never has been as a runner. He's had some good play as a receiver, but not as a runner. He's averaging 1.8 yards after contact per attempt in 2025. That's below average. Average is 1.9 or 2. It's not good, but the good news is it's tied for the highest mark of his career. So he's been bad every year. So it's not different. Every year is bad. He adds nothing as a runner. He is, always has been, always will be bad, below average runner. Not good. Never been good. Now, this week, you're getting a great opportunity. 14 carries, 108 yards, 2 catches, 67 yards and a touchdown in week 6. That's great. But he hadn't had 80 total yards in any previous game, was averaging 47 rushing yards a game before this. I know better. I know what DeAndre Swift is. One game is not changing my mind. I know what he is. We know exactly what he is. He's not great. Now, he's 26. 0 guaranteed money in his contract after 2025. Look, it's obvious that the Bears didn't really want DeAndre Swift. He was signed before Ben Johnson got there. There's no guaranteed money left. He's not going to be there next year. They can save $7 million by cutting him. He won't be there. Now, isn't it obvious? I think it's obvious to me that the Bears wanted to draft Trevion Henderson in the NFL draft. They panicked after the Patriots took him, and they didn't know what to do after that. That's what happened. I think that's very clear from how they've used Luther Burden or not used him. They really wasn't what they were planning to do. We know Ben Johnson doesn't like DeAndre Swift. He phased out DeAndre Swift the last time they worked together in 2022. And the main thing I'm saying here is that, and I've said this in the Patreon before, is that in Dynasty, running back value is temporary. And he didn't want DeAndre Swift. Just because he's better than the other options he has now doesn't mean that DeAndre Swift has real Dynasty value, and he doesn't. But in Dynasty, people are desperate for running backs, and DeAndre Swift has just produced. This is an opportunity to get rid of DeAndre Swift, who I don't believe in at all. It's interesting. Now, usually I would put multiple trades on here, but I will say there was a theme in the Dynasty Daddy trade database. Every trade was a version of this. DeAndre Swift for 26 seconds. There were some with a 28 second added. There were some with a 4th added. Some with a 3rd added. Some where it was straight up. There was 27 second. There were a zillion versions of this. This is a base price. I'd take it if it was that or nothing. But on the Patreon, like I always say, greed is good. And sometimes you can push for a little bit more. But this is a base price. Start there and see if you can add to it and then negotiate down, that type of thing. Again, I walk you through all of that on the Patreon. But this was, I've never seen so many one specific trade for a player. There were a zillion of these. So this is kind of the range in which you're looking to move DeAndre Swift. Now, speaking of players where I am not convinced by one game, Bryce Young, not convinced. He's coming off 2 victories. That's good. And yes, week 6 might have been his best ever game, and it wasn't even that good. That was his best ever, probably, game. I'm not buying it as a real NFL quarterback this year. 61.8% completion, 10 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 5.8 yards per attempt. Now, that's awful. That's awful. I mean, 6.5 is like competent backup. 7 is starter. 5.8 is awful. That's unacceptable. And it's not even on high volume, 191.7 passing yards a game. Unacceptable. And he's not even running. 16 carries, 59 yards, and a touchdown. We were saying last year, Bryce Young is running more. Well, that could give us something. We're not seeing that. Now, if he were a rookie and these were rookie numbers, I could say, well, a rookie quarterback could take a little bit of time. Now it's been too much time. There's no improvement. Nothing is improved. Yes, this last week was good, but I'm talking about long-term improvement. The Panthers are 3-3 in spite of Young, not because of him. And because of the lack of running, he's not doing anything for fantasy either. I mean, 13.7 fantasy points a game, 27th among running backs, but it's super flex. There are quarterback injuries, there are problems, and people are desperate. And that's why we're talking about Bryce Young here. I do not think Bryce Young will be a 2026 starting quarterback. There's nothing here. In 36 games, 60.5% completion. That's not good enough. 36 touchdowns, 24 interceptions. That's backup level. 5.8 yards per attempt. There you go, right there. 5.8 yards per attempt for his career. Not 6 games, not 10 games, 36. 36 games. I mean, that has to be enough time to say that this isn't working. It's not working. The improvement is not coming. This is the second year under Dave Canales, and we've actually seen him get worse than he was in 2024. Now, in May, the Panthers will need to decide on a fully guaranteed $26.5 million fifth-year option. And again, I've been talking about this type of stuff on the YouTube channel. I haven't brought this in as much until around now. Stuff that's like in 2026, looking to the future. But in Patreon, I talk about that all the time. So I'm always ahead of the game on the Patreon. But at the current rate, we're not seeing the Panthers make this commitment, right? They're not going to do that. He's never looked like a starting quarterback at NFL level for more than a game here and there. And this week, even this week, 8 yards per attempt is good, but there wasn't a lot of passing volume. They didn't win because of Bryce Young. They won because Rico Dowdle had a great performance. Young hasn't looked good this year. And this was the best game, the only game in which he was like really above average. So how do you move on from Bryce Young? Well, people are desperate for quarterbacks in Superflex. This is a common theme. I still somehow saw many versions in the Dynasty Daddy trade database of Bryce Young for a 26 first. That is insane. Bryce Young is not worth any 26 first at all. That is wild to me. Next one, Bryce Young for Cam Ward. Now you might say, what's the difference between Bryce Young and Cam Ward? They're both struggling. The difference is that Cam Ward is in year one. Value-wise, and this is something I talk about on the Patreon all the time, is that perception and market value are a large part of Dynasty. Market value and trade value are important. It's not all about what is done on the field. And Cam Ward has value insulation. People are going to say, oh, well, it was a bad year or a bad rookie year. He can bounce back in value. Whereas Bryce Young, in year 3, the same excuses are not available. So I would much rather have Cam Ward in the value insulation of Cam Ward than Bryce Young, who could be discarded after this year. And then the last one, I thought this was interesting. Bryce Young at 26 third for Xavier Worthy. Might be a good time to buy Xavier Worthy. He struggled with an injury. Rashee Rice is coming back. It's kind of a lot of things. Could be interesting. So I just wanted to throw that out there as another possibility to get rid of Bryce Young. Now, if you like my YouTube content, you should sign up for the Patreon. I'm offering a 50% discount off your first month at all tiers using the code TylerYT50. You can sign up at the link in the top right corner, patreon.com/fantasy advice. Use the code TylerYT50 at checkout for 50% off your first month. You can get all of my rankings, including weekly start sit Dynasty rankings, access to Discord, all my write-ups, including about every NFL game, Patreon-only videos, direct message fantasy advice, and the ability to ask any advanced questions for the YouTube videos. Tiers begin at just $6 a month, $3 with the discount. Now, if you want to know more about the Patreon, check out my Why You Should Join the Patreon videos on the channel. There's one on the homepage. I just recorded it this weekend under Patreon promos. It'll tell you more about everything that I'm offering. And again, I am doing everything in addition to the videos on the Patreon. I hear people asking about Dynasty trades, about do this video or about other things in the YouTube comments. I appreciate people watching the video, but additional content, interactive content, and all of my other content, write-ups and all that are all on the Patreon. That's where all the additional content will be. where any more content will be moving forward. And then any of my start sit and redraft content, since this is a Dynasty channel, start sit and redraft content will be available on the Patreon and will not be available in other places. Now, again, there have been a lot of people who've signed up, and I really, really appreciate that. It's how independent YouTube content like this channel continues to go on. So I do appreciate that. I've gotten a lot of people saying that, the content that I make is the most interactive and most complete Dynasty content out there. So I really appreciate those people who've signed up and really enjoyed it. And I'm hoping to see more people do that as well. I promise you won't regret it. And that's why I'm offering the 50% discount, because I want people to be able to try it at a cheaper price and then decide if they like it afterwards. So again, patreon.com/fantasy advice. Links in the top right corner. Code TylerYT50 at checkout for 50% off your first month. With that said, I'll move into my next topic. So my next player as a sell, Jacory Croskey-Merritt. Yeah, people aren't seeing what happened in week 6 as good. I'm not sure about that. Let's take a look at his overall profile. It's funny, running backs on the same side, opposite sides of the same game. 60 carries, 344 yards, 4 touchdowns, 5.7 yards a carry, 6 catches for 61 yards. Rushing efficiency is great. What's less good is the receiving work or lack thereof. He didn't do it in college, so I'm not surprised he's not doing it now. He's averaging 11.1 PPR points a game, 31st among running backs. And that's not really that instructive because he's had very different roles throughout the season, but that's what he's averaging. Now, why is he Dynasty Zell? The fumbles are not helping. He's fumbled each of the last 2 games. There was another missed exchange this week. So he's not going to maintain the same role if he continues to do that. He totaled 7 catches in his final full college season in 2023. So he didn't do it in college. So I'm not surprised he's not seeing pass game usage now. Now, let's talk about what honestly happened with Croskey-Merritt. He was a 7th round pick. The Commanders got rid of Brian Robinson on the eve of the season. I kept hearing people say, that means they love Jacory Croskey-Merritt. He'll be the starter forever. Oh, yes, that's what that means. That's not what that means at all. Brian Robinson was an expiring contract, so he wasn't going to be there in 2026 anyway, right? They hated him. They gave him away for nothing. And let's rewind. Who was the starter week 1? Was it Jacory Croskey-Merritt? No, it was Austin Ekeler. Austin Ekeler was the starter. Then he got hurt, and then Jacory Croskey-Merritt became the starter. They didn't get rid of Brian Robinson to turn Jacory Croskey-Merritt into a workhorse. They have now done that because they have no choice. There is no one else. Chris Rodriguez sucks, and Jeremy McNichols is ancient, and there's nothing there. Look, the Commanders have $96 million in 2026 cap space. They have no other running backs under contract. They didn't intend to go with the backfield of Jacory Croskey-Merritt, Jeremy McNichols, and Chris Rodriguez. That was not their intention, but then Austin Ekeler went down, and that's what they had left. McNichols, Rodriguez, and Austin Ekeler, who's injured, are not under contract for next year. So people keep saying, and I hear this all the time, I have seen that Jacory Croskey-Merritt is great. He will be the starter next year. That's possible. That's possible. That is an outcome. I'm not saying it's not possible. What I am saying is that there will be a running back added and not a nobody. A significant running back has to be added to the backfield. And I did see a recent mock draft. Again, this is one possible outcome where they took Jeremiah Love in the first round. I have also seen speculation that they'll be interested in free agent running backs, which with $96 million in cap space, they can afford. They can certainly afford Bryce Hall or others. It's not going to be Jacory Croskey-Merritt and nobodies. That's not happening. But people just in dynasty delusion, that's a new disease I should come up with, a new sickness. that a lot of content creators and other people seem to have. Dynasty delusion. I like that. I'm going to mention that from now on. I like what I've just come up with. So, because there are many delusional people, and most Dynasty content creators, totally delusional, just out of touch with reality. I almost think it's a requirement to be a Dynasty creator at this point, actually, to be out of touch with reality. I think it helps because if you're totally delusional, then it's easy to say crazy things and you sound reasonable to yourself. So, with that said, those people are encouraging that Jacory Croskey-Merritt's going to be valuable forever. We know better. We know better than that here. Now, the first one, sell Jacory Croskey-Merritt for Jameson Williams. I'm sorry, but one of these two players is going to have value for a long time, and it's not Jacory Croskey-Merritt. Jameson Williams, young, talented, wide receiver who is going to have value. This is a no-brainer. This is not close. Now, speaking of a buy video, Jacory Croskey-Merritt and a first for Rome Odunze. I'm sorry, Rome Odunze is an elite prospect, has ascended into an elite tier of wide receiver for Dynasty. He's not gotten there for the NFL, but he's looked really good. It's the Rome Odunze we thought we were getting. I'm not out now because of one bad game where a touchdown was taken away on a ridiculous illegal formation that had nothing to do with Rome Odunze. If he catches that touchdown, this deal doesn't happen. But didn't count. And because of that, Rome Odunze is available. And I would be interested. And this is a great price. And then there were many versions of this. Jacory Croskey-Merritt for a 26 first. I'm sorry, Jacory Croskey-Merritt can't ever be worth a first. Never. Never, ever, ever. What's the upside? That he's the next Isaiah Pacheco? Was Isaiah Pacheco ever worth a first? Not to me. Maybe to others, but not to me. So, and that's the best case scenario. I'm not sure that, it's going to go quite that way. So for me, I'm totally out at these insane prices on Jacory Croskey-Merritt. Find someone who suffers from dynasty delusion and you'll be able to move on very easily. So now we'll move into the Patreon questions. And I always like doing this segment because the patrons get to decide some of the content, which I think is kind of fun. So let's get started. How do you expect TreVeyon Henderson to be used going forward? Oh, man. I mean, today I was reading that the Patriots are linked to trading for a running back. I don't know. I'm nervous about TreVeyon Henderson. I'd be interested in buying low, but it's got to be really low. I am nervous that we are not going to see what we wanted at all in 2025. And then you're going to be deciding what is TreVeyon Henderson worth after that. You're going to be looking at that. So I do think it'll be a committee the rest of the year, and we're going to see what happens after that. But I'm not thinking that there's going to be a backfield like takeover this year, to be honest. If our team is a strong contender, but we have weaknesses due to injuries or buys, should we be patient and wait until later in the season or to trade for reinforcements or do it now? Well, why not do it now? Why not do it now? I mean, you're 6-0 or 5-1. I mean, you're competing for a bye. Remember, a playoff bye is a free win. It is a free playoff win. I'm assuming this is a normal league where 6 teams make the playoffs. There are 2 buys. That's standard. In that case, buy is a free win. So we are fighting for that. So no, I don't see any reason to be patient at this point. Not if your team is 6-0 or 5-1. No. Why be patient? Now, if no one's going to give you a good price, then sure. But that doesn't mean I'm not trying. I would still try. So there's no strategic reason to be patient, if that makes sense. Do guys drafted as consensus pick 1 in rookie drafts ever gain significant value after the draft? So if they're a running back, then it's hard for them to ever gain value because they're not going to get younger, and they're probably already valued. If a running back is the 101 in a rookie draft, that running back is almost certainly a top 3 dynasty running back. I mean, Ashton Genty was pretty much the dynasty RB3 immediately. Bijan Robinson was maybe the dynasty RB1 immediately. So no, I mean, it's hard to do that. There are situations. I'm trying to think of a situation where the consensus number on overall pick has gained significant value. Because in 2024, Caleb Williams, no. So, yeah, maybe not. It hasn't happened a lot recently. Doesn't mean it can't happen, though. A lot of the time, we just didn't get the number 1 overall pick right recently. But, like, for example, there are high-end players who gain value. Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors. These are high-end players who've gained a lot of value. So, I'm not saying it's never gonna happen again, but it is true. It's a Trevor Lawrence in 2021 didn't gain value. So, I'm not saying it can't ever happen again, but it hasn't happened recently. But I don't think this is relevant. I think it's only relevant for the running backs. We know that generally running backs, it's easier to lose value than gain. So that I think is relevant. But for the other positions, a lot of it was just getting it wrong. Like if Jaden Daniels, if there was no Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels was picked 101, he would have gained a lot of value. So not so much with the other positions. Taxi strategy. What factors do you consider when deciding which players to stash on your taxi squad? To be really honest with you, I see no point for there to be a taxi squad. I really don't. I think it is stupid. If you're playing in a contracts league, then I get it. There's reasons for that because it gets complicated after that. But unless there's some mechanic, why do we have a taxi squad? It's just another thing to deal with. If there's no poaching, if there's no contracts, why are we even having a taxi squad? What's the purpose? I don't get it. Most leagues that I play in or help with on the Patreon have eliminated the taxi squad. In terms of what I factor in, I mean, I don't know. You want players you're not going to want to cut, but not players that, are too valuable that you're going to start. I honestly, I'm over the taxi squad. I really just think it shouldn't be involved in leagues unless, again, there's contracts. There has to be some really good reason for there to be a taxi squad in your league. Now, if you like the video, make sure to support the channel by subscribing. And don't forget to hit that new hype button to help the videos in the algorithm. Plus, hit that notifications bell so you can be notified about all my exciting content as it drops. Of course, if you want my best fantasy football advice, it's available on the Patreon. Dynasty content year-round, and I've got my start set content in season. 50% discount at all tiers using code TylerYT50. Every sign up helps support my independent content. But once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later.